Welcome back to DadSchooled podcast. This morning has been interesting to say the least.
All the technical difficulties.
Yes, every technical difficulty has happened.
The,
Anyways, I'm Josh. That is Jimmy, and this is DadSchooled podcast, which I already said already. Today we are going to get right into it because we are running short on time thanks to all of our technological issues.
it's the snowstorm, man. It's the
Yes.
snow.
Yes, we got some snow. It is currently -1 degrees outside, and my dogs did not want to go outside. That was another issue this morning. But you know what? Today's topic is fun. It's not about winning. it's about not winning. Um, and like most things on this show, it actually is driven by some kind of personal event that happens in usually my life, and then I make Jimmy talk about it too. Um, Today is no different. This weekend, we had a big snowstorm. We were inside pretty much the entire time, from Saturday morning until right now. Even all our events for today have been canceled, so we're going to be stuck at home all day. And there's a grocery order we need to pick up that's not really that important, but it's just on your mind you want to get. And we're stuck at home because it's just icy outside, no good. So whenever we do that, it seems like a great idea to play a board game, and
Yes.
that's what we attempted Saturday night. And our kids like playing video games. Our household's a gaming household. With the exception of my wife, she is practical and uses her time wisely instead of wasting it on games. But we came together and we sat down at the table. My youngest didn't want to play. So we were trying to get him to play. We were trying to play Skull King, actually. And we were trying to get our youngest to play that, but he wouldn't. So we sat down. This game has become interesting for our family.
And I apologize for introducing it to you.
No, we actually, I love it. My wife loves it. But the problem is our kids get really, really like upset about different strategies and techniques. Like, for example, if one of my daughters, like, okay, both my daughters have zero poker faces. Like, they cannot look at the cards without making a comment or saying something. Okay. And it is frustrating, but whatever, you move past it. The problem is whenever they say something and they're all like, I don't want to get out, or this is bad, and you feel bad for them. And as a dad, I'm next in line, and I could choose to do something to help her or not, and it kind of sways my opinion. And I'm seeing it now over time. Initially, I thought my oldest son was just complaining, right? But after seeing this go through a couple times, I'm actually agreeing with him now that it is affecting the game and my play style, because I would play a lot harder if it wasn't for her saying things and me feeling bad, because she'll also be the first one to start crying. Like, you'll see tears well up as soon as she starts losing the game. And it's like, I don't know. It's interesting. And with maturity, I think it'll change, but it adds a little bit of spice to our game. And why I'm saying all this is we came to this game on Saturday night as a family, and there was already tension in the kids before this game started. It came from an argument of all things from Minecraft. They had, and it wasn't even like the same day. It was like a day or two before. They played online with their friends locally, with a couple of their friends from their co-op, and they were playing out some kind of version of Minecraft. They were doing something. I don't know what it was, but there was some unfair, supposedly, play that went on, and they got at each other's throats. Like in this game, in Skull King, an argument broke out where all three of them were just going at it. And I'm looking at my wife like, what the heck, And in a general rule of thumb, my kids know this. I tell them, if you have a game problem, come talk to me about it. Do not go and argue in front of your mom about video game, because I always try to instill in my kids that games in my household are to build each other up and work as a team. That's how I always view video games. I like co-op games. I like team building games. I like games like that. I don't like, competitive games are fine, and our kids have plenty of those to play. Sandbox games are great, but if you're going to play a game as a team, you need to watch out for your teammate. That's how I always teach them. Like, you sacrifice yourself in a game so your teammate gets further. I always tell them that. And they were not playing that way, and they were definitely doing one of the big golden rules, breaking it for me, is arguing in front of your mom, the least advocate for video games in our household, about a video game. Not good. That goes
Yeah.
all helpfulness of us continuing to play video games in our household. So, anyways, all that build up here for we had an argument we had to take care of. So, as dad, I got done with that game. It ended in tears. Somebody won, all of us lost. I called a meeting down to my office right down here. I had all 3 kids down here, and I'm like, we got to talk about this. And I went over. I was like, tell me the problems. So it was an interesting exercise in a dad-led therapy session, like mediation session about a video game problem they had. So it was interesting. That's kind of like
to stage an intervention.
It was, and I'm like, there's some sustenance here. Like, what was behind this argument, which was an interesting part. Okay, that's the topic of this story is kind of about that, or the topic of this show. So, all that being said, it was really a misunderstanding between my daughters, who felt like they were wronged, and my son, who feels like he didn't do anything wrong. Okay, now I've had talks with my son in the past. My oldest son, he's 14 now. But I've had talks because he has two sisters, right? I had a sister growing up. Did you have any sisters, Jimmy?
I've got one older brother and one older sister. Yep.
Okay, so it is. I've had like the talk with my son of, hey, it is our job as the men of the household to take care of the women, right? I've had that talk. I've had the talk of women aren't weak, but it is our job to protect them. It's our job to take care of them. It's our job to lead them. That's our role. And I don't think he got it initially. Like, he didn't. He like, okay, yeah, Dad, yeah. And I've had this a couple times with him. I've had to talk about how women have certain emotions at certain times of the month that we don't have. That sometimes you just got to have an understanding, have a grace for them, be there for them, even if it's not logical. Okay. And he didn't get it. But you know what? In this instance, I think it clicked because we were sitting there, and as soon as I said, I was like, we've had this talk before, you see all his lights go, oh, because one of his sisters was having a moment of like, it wasn't rational. It was a video game. She just won at Skull King. And now she's down here crying because she felt hurt about a video game a couple days ago. And it made no logical sense at all. It's like, just move on. It's a game, But it was really important to her. So I had to talk with them. Like, sometimes people have things that are really important to them that they hold on to. And it's more important to them than you. And this goes not only between husband, wife, or boyfriend, girlfriend, or brother, sister. It's human, at a human level. Some people just care about more things than other people, and it's sometimes best if you recognize that instead of just brushing it off. So it was an interesting family moment. I was able to talk with my son about that, and my daughters, and they're 2 years younger than him, and it's interesting to hear like their perspective on things, on arguments, because you spend, I tend to go on a soapbox when I talk to my kids, and I'll be lecturing. I'll just be like, on and on and on. And you can see their eyes start rolling back in their heads, and they're like, is he done yet? Kind of like what you're doing right now, Jimmy, when I'm not. But then I'm like, okay, we all on the same page? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, so we're going to forgive each other, right? And my girls are like, not really feeling that one, Dad. So we had to go through the stages of like, you forgive people. It was the whole works, Jimmy.
The whole thing, yeah.
I had to roll it all out. I know, like I kind of gave you an outline of what we're going to talk about, and we're trying. Okay, that's the theme today is trying.
Yeah.
But
Well, so
go ahead. Sorry, I'll be quiet for a second.
what's interesting for me, going back a long time, I gotta do some long-term memory recall from in college. My actual degree in college is in recreation, and a minor in psychology as well. So I feel like this could actually be pertinent. I had a class that my wife makes fun of me all the time. There was a class that the name of the actual class was Introduction to Leisure, which is like the most name of a class for a college class like ever. But in a lot of my classes, actually, one of the things that was talked about often is the actual importance of play for kids as they're growing up. That there's actually a very important component that it serves in a child's life as they're growing up. It provides a real world opportunity for problem solving skills, communication skills, in a less permanently impactful environment than like the adult workplace or that sort of thing. So it's important for your kids, for your children, to be able to have those opportunities for play, for games, whether it's board games, video games, going out to the playground, going out, hopping on bikes and going down the street with some kids, other friends, and they learn like, okay, if I want to have fun, if I want to have a certain outcome today, like I've got to communicate, I've got to be creative. You see lots of interesting things. You see things. There was a statistic. I mean, I'm not going to remember the numbers at all, but there is an interesting outlier that only children, kids that don't have any siblings, oftentimes have been seen to be very creative as adults, and come up with strategies that are very unique to other adults because they had to be so creative on their own as a child. Like they had to use their imagination a whole lot more than other kids maybe that were playing in groups or playing other games because they were just alone all the time. But then they also sometimes don't like working with others. I think we've kind of all known those. Oh, you were an only child. That person you meet, and you're like, oh, that explains a lot. Because sometimes they also don't work well with others. They can be very creative and come up with really interesting solutions, but maybe they just want to get it done on their own because that's just what they're used to. So these opportunities, like you're spelling out now, it seems like it could be life or death right now as a young teenager, but this is the time where their permanent strategies are developed of, okay, this is how I deal with conflict. This is how I resolve a misunderstanding. This is how I deal with emotions of things not going the way I want. Like these are, as a dad, that it then becomes a lot more hefty. You start realizing like, okay, yes, it's just a game. Yes, they're just kids, but this is the opportunity for setting them up for future life success. And that definitely puts it in a different framework for me of figuring out, okay, am I going to be like, oh, come on, stinking kids, just grow up and stop being obnoxious little brats, like that's the thought process that could fly through my head. But I'm like, okay, that's not going to be helpful if those words are said out loud. Like that's not going to be productive at all. So how do I frame this in a way that ends up helping them realize, okay, here's an opportunity for growth, here's an opportunity for learning, and I have a chance right now as a dad for doing some actual permanent development. So how do I sway that pendulum in the right direction? And that's always a challenge.
Yeah, it's a different, definitely a different day and age. Like if I look back at my childhood, my father was very hardworking. He still is. Like he's retired, even busier than ever it seems. But he had multiple jobs. He worked night shift. He worked a second day job with my mom. They had a business together. Um, he I'm not saying he wasn't there. He was always there. Anytime I needed him, he was instantly there. Um, but in my play leisure time, whenever I did play video games, because there was a period in my life. This is not going to sound good. There was a period in my life where I was very addicted to the games. I was very addicted to running downstairs first thing in the morning, playing video games all the time I had. When I wasn't in school, when I wasn't doing whatever, I was in the computer room on a game, hooked up with the dial-up modem with my friend. I had pretty much one friend growing up that I just played games with, and we played video games. There was like maybe another one or two people that we played with, but it was mainly just me and him. I go to his house for sleepovers. We play games all night long. Eventually my computer died at home, like middle school time. My computer died. My dad and I tried upgrading the CPU, and we didn't know anything what we were doing. We got the wrong components, shoved it in the hole, and fried the whole computer. It was bad.
Wow.
Yeah, smoke pouring out of the ports and everything. It was awesome. But that was the family computer is dead. My parents didn't get another computer until my senior year of high school, like almost. Like they didn't go, like they didn't have a computer. Even then, they said, Josh, you're not allowed to use this, because they knew how addicted to it I was when I was growing up. So I had a little bit different, like my dad wasn't a gamer. My dad didn't have any desire to be a gamer. He was doing other things all the time. So like my kids have a lot different experience growing up now. It's a different generation, different time. And I enjoy playing games. I play games with my kids all the time. Not as much as I want to, because I actually am working too, and I work from my office, Monday through Friday, and then I have side hustles that I do for code as well. I have some websites I manage, so I'm down here a lot, and whenever I do have a chance to play games with them, I get on, and I was thinking it's like a different, like just thinking about what you're just saying, helping them grow, helping them through these experiences. This is like their world right now. Like this is important to them. And I have to be careful about that, because I'm always cautious about letting my kids be too addicted to computers. Whenever I start seeing that happen, I see my son or my daughters running to a computer and that's all they want to do, I will try to pull them off of that and do something else, because I don't want them to be stuck like that either. I know exactly how bad that was for me growing up, and I try to do better for my kids. All that being said, like it's entirely like this problem they have, this conflict, instead of having a playground scuffle, it's turned virtual. This is interesting.
Yeah.
Like instead of having a kid pick on you in the playground, you have a video game that as a family my kids are playing, and they're having similar arguments, but in a video game. It's not fair he did this, he had an extra life, he shouldn't have done this. It's like, so I gotta be careful. And that was a good reminder you just gave me. It's not something I just brush off and be like, stupid, it's a video game. Don't argue about it. Because it is like they're learning how to talk to each other, learn how to develop. And I've always told them, I just said this a little bit ago, it's not about you in the game, it's about your team. It's always team based. It's always building somebody else up. I always point to the youngest, our 7-year-old, and I'm like, hey, this is your opportunity to make. And I said this to my oldest son too, when his sisters, who are 2 years younger than him, were learning games too. This is your opportunity to make a great gaming partner. Okay, build him up and teach him how to play the game. Teach him how to win. Teach him how to lose. When you lose gracefully. Teach him how to do that. Teach him how to compliment somebody else for a good game. Teach, and that's skills I think I'm trying to instill in them, and it is helping. I'm not kidding, Jimmy. My youngest is a prodigal child with video games. He is in some games that older people play, destroying them, like absolutely destroying other players, and he's only 7. I'm like, if they knew that a 7-year-old just killed him that bad, like and this is like, once is par for the course for our show. But one of my daughters and my 2 sons and I were playing a game this past, just I think it was Saturday we were doing this. We were in this game, and it's a first person shooter. We're going, and it's 4v4. Okay. We ended the round, and Oliver, my youngest, had more points, more kills than the top player on the other team. That's how bad we smoked that team. And we were like, if they even knew that a 7-year-old just wiped them that
That
bad.
was the one.
And my 14-year-old and my 12-year-old daughter. Like, if they even knew that three-fourths of that team was that young, they would uninstall everything and just quit the games right now. They wouldn't even play anymore. They'd just be like, uninstall, done, I'm off. But anyways, I'm not trying to brag. It's just like, I love that. It was a proud dad moment for me. Like, seeing that them come
When they
together.
put esports on the Olympics, he'll be getting that esports.
We'll be there. We will have a team. We'll have the rad team. It'll be amazing, right? But that's like, that gives me joy. And that was like one of the first times in a long time, probably, that I was super proud of my kids in a video game fashion. Like, as a gaming dad, I was like, almost brought a tear to my eye. It was great. But all that being said, back to the whole conflict resolution. Okay, I was looking at this closely. Let me look at my notes real fast. Okay, so we dug into the issue. Like, we were digging into the issue of why they're mad at each other, and it came down to some interesting components, which took me a while to dissect and understand. And I actually didn't really realize these more until after the fact. When the argument was already done, and my resolution, they already left the office, and I started really digging into this and looking at this for this show. A lot of this comes down to like a heart question from them, like, what did they want out of this argument? Like, if you look at my daughter who's crying in this context, and we're in my office, and we're like, what do you want? Like, what is that? Is that the I don't know what movie that is, but he's like, what do you want? What do you want? And the girl's like, I don't know. You know. But the same thing happened here. It's like, what would make you happy? What would be the best solution out of everything? And then you give them the options, like, do you want your brother to always do this? Well, no. Do you want him to always do this? No. And it's like, okay, so what do you want, really? And it comes down to, everyone wants to be right, you know? No one likes to be wrong, especially in the middle of this context when you're pointing out their logic might be flawed. So you gotta be careful as a dad with that. Like, you get to a point in an argument where you realize that you have your kids and you figured out the problem, and now it's time to get them to realize the problem, right? And admit it almost. But you gotta be careful, because it's not about proving them wrong, right? It's not about proving yourself right in the mediation of this argument. It's really about making them understand how to treat people, right? And it's really it's not about them being right or someone else being right or someone else being wrong, which usually comes down to that. Like, I don't know if you've experienced this with your daughters, but when you bring up something to them that they did wrong, or you try to point something out, what's the first thing they'll say? But she did this, or they did this. Yeah. And it's like, why do we do that? Why is the blame shift and like the moving of the goalposts so prevalent in youth? But it's not just youth. Like, it's adults too. Like, a lot of these things we do too.
And that's why it's so important for them to have these opportunities as kids to start figuring these things out. And I like that you brought them down to the basement and you gave kind of a debrief, because that was always one of the important parts for when I was working in. I used to do a lot of work on ropes courses, do outdoor adventure skills and all that sort of stuff, team building and all those things. And you would get people, climb the 30-foot telephone pole and stand on top of it. And that was always, bust someone out of their comfort level and do something crazy that they didn't think they were capable of. And that in itself in the moment was always like a big moment, a big experience. But it was always the actual debrief after the fact, that when you would sit down the group or sit down the individual and talk through, okay, what were the emotions you were feeling? How did it feel when you conquered that fear, when you accomplished the thing you didn't think you were capable of? And it's going through that actual debrief at the end. That's where the impact like really, really started to resonate and hit home for a lot of people. And so that's the same thing with play opportunities and going through a lot of this conflict and stuff. It's that debrief afterwards that can end up having the most impact. So like the fact that you brought them down, you had a group conversation. I would maybe even push you to try to do more one-on-ones from time to time too. Yeah. But getting into that nitty gritty of, okay, so this was situation. this was outcome. Didn't seem like we liked this outcome. So let's dissect it for 5 minutes. Let's just talk about it. But that debrief can be super impactful. Like I've always hated the people. It's just a kind of a common axiom. We learn from our mistakes. I know plenty of people that make the same mistake over and over again and don't seem to learn a single blessed thing.
Yep. Our kids also don't seem to learn from their mistakes.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so I've always taken it as, no, we don't learn from our mistakes. We learn from taking an opportunity to observe and debrief, or, whatever you want to call it, to dissect our mistake. And that takes a deliberate moment of self-reflection, self-observation, and then, okay, what can I do different next time? And that's the only way that a mistake can actually be something worthwhile in the future, is if we actually deliberately observe it, dissect it, and go, okay, I didn't like how that felt, and I want to move past that. What can I do different next time?
Right. That's kind of why, the thing you're saying about out of your comfort zone, it's very popular, even in the workplace. Like I experienced this early on in my software engineer career. They'd have code reviews, and it'd be public code reviews where you sit down in a room with your peers and you dissect your code and what you did, and everyone would give an opinion on how you did it. And coding, yes, there's a way to do it, and there's a right way and a wrong way, but there's many right ways and there's a lot of wrong ways. And it's almost, I'm not going to say opinion based or style or creative based, but it can be. Like how you approach a problem and how you solve a problem directly ties into your problem solving skills as a human being when you're a software engineer. And yes, there's instances where there's only one way to do something, yes. But a lot of times you can do a lot of different ways, and it might make sense to you, but it might not make sense to somebody else. And defending that in a public setting can be intimidating, especially when you have some people who are more intelligent on the spectrum of intelligence, and they don't always have the best social niceties that other people have. So they're very blunt. And if you're not careful, you can get you can offend people pretty quickly. So taking it back to the kid situation, like you have like public shaming of sense. Like you were saying, like if I bring them all down here and I'm like, what did you do wrong? Why did you know? And yes, it's I didn't do it in front of their mom. I am a very big fan of shock treatments for like shock and painful instances to make you not want to do something again. So if my kid doesn't turn a homework assignment in, I'm like, you lost games for a week. You lost your computer access for a week or more. And that's like devastating to them, right? So
Yeah.
that I think people learn by that. Now, there's lots of different views on that. And like you're saying, like a one-on-one learning situation might be best, but like, how do you get that across that this is important sometimes? Like, how do you get that into their heads that you can't repeat doing this? Like your initial reaction is something so damaging to their not mental psyche, but like themselves, like what they hold valuable, that they don't want to do it again. Is that the best way to do that? Like, is that the best way to train somebody to not do something stupid again? Maybe. Like
Right.
Maybe not. I don't know. I personally don't want to be embarrassed in front of my peers. I avoid situations if I know that I'm going to be called out. It's a very big motivator for me. Like, it keeps me honest, I would say. It keeps me online to do what I should be doing if I know there's a threat that I'm going to be called out in a group and publicly shamed. But that's just me. Like, I know that about myself. Is that right to publicly shame your kids? Probably not. I don't know. Thoughts on that, Jimmy? Should we publicly shame our kids?
I mean, it's one thing inside your own home, around the rest of your family, and then it's another thing up on a platform in front of all friends and peers and strangers. Those are different things.
Like bringing this up to all of our 3 viewers for the world to hear the arguments in our house.
Yeah.
No, I mean, so okay, bring it all back together. it was a great for me teaching moment to my kids to be able to sit down with them and go over what happened. It's an exercise I don't probably do enough in conflict resolution with my kids. Most of the time, I'll step in as a referee and I'll be like, okay, stop being stupid. Okay, be nicer. It was good for me to come down to that level as a parent and really like listen. I'm going to listen to this person. Okay, you stop talking. Not your time to talk. Okay, you go and listen to this argument and make everyone listen. And then, okay, now let's hear your point of view. And we'll really talk to and open up more dialogue and conversation. So I guess a good takeaway, which might be our weekly challenge. I might take your thunder here, Jimmy. Sorry. Is this week, dads, you need to not create conflict, but you will find conflict in your life someplace. And I'm encouraging you to go and listen to your kids and don't make a mountain out of a molehill. But there's going to be something that you can step in and try to mediate better. Okay. And instead of just dictating the outcome, try to walk through logically with your kids. Now, this is very age appropriate, age conscious kind of thing. You can't sit there with some 2-year-olds and be like, okay, little Jimmy, why did you cry? It's not going to work. They have to have some logic and reasoning skills. Let's just say anything above what? 9, 10, maybe they can do this with.
When they're old enough to reason a little more.
Yeah. Take the opportunity this week to sit down and try to listen to the sides, try to have the opposing parties listen to the sides and talk about it in a respectful, kind way. Open up some scripture, maybe find some passages that deal with this issue. And then see how that works for you instead of the way you probably previously did it. Now, if you previously did this perfectly and everything I'm saying is for naught, then good for you. Keep on doing that. But it was a new experience for me. And this might sound stupid to like someone who does this all every day, but it was a cool experience to see my kids grow in that way, in that conversation. So I encourage you to try that this week as well.
Yeah, my final thought is just a reminder that whatever strategy or practice a child is learning now, whatever they're currently doing, whether it's intentional or not, just whatever their actual path that they're taking now is more often than not going to be the same strategy that they use as an adult. So how can we help form that into something more healthy if we see something that's not healthy currently? So that's my final thought.
Good thoughts. Yes. We don't want little that's like one of my biggest fears is I raise a kid that's a jerk to people. I don't want that. I don't want to sit there as a old person in a old folks home watching my kid be a jerk to people. I'd rather have my kid be kind, loving, and just selfless to everyone around him without being taken advantage of, but be a kind person. That's like what I want from my kids. Strong, independent, kind people.
When you're asking your kid, is this something you enjoy? Are you enjoying this right now? If their answer is yes, then you might have a bigger challenge in front of you.
Yeah. You enjoy making your sister cry? Yes. No.
Yes.
No, I failed.
I don't want a little sociopath.
All right. On that note, we will see you guys next week. Make sure you take some time with your kids. Be present. We always say that every single show. Be present. Don't go away from your kids. Always be around them. Try to help out at home. Jimmy, another final closing thought, or is that it? You got thoughts?
Like, subscribe, share.
Oh yeah. Yeah, forgot about that.
Email us.
Like, subscribe, email us. I did get 2 emails this past week, Jimmy. They're from the same person, and they're trying to sell us something. Like, they said they can sell us to be better podcasters, and I'm like, we don't need that. I'm not going to spend money to make money, and we're not trying to make money here. This is for our own therapy. This isn't for everyone else. So yeah. So send us helpful emails about your experiences. Not trying to sell us stuff. Just pro tip. All right. See you guys next time.
Usually lands. Right.
Bye.